I confessed to my boyfriend a sickening secret from my past. Now I'm scared he'll leave me. Help, please. My boyfriend is 27 and I am 28. For years ago, I did some pretty messed up stuff. I have since gone to therapy for 4 years now, stayed single for 2 years in order to work on myself, and am now in a place where I feel confident that I have grown into a wonderful partner. What I did in my past was that I was engaged to a guy. We were college sweethearts. I had sex with another guy once in college after my boyfriend at the time, made out with a girl at a party. Bad all around, I know. I told him about it, and though it was hard, we moved past it and got engaged about a year later, once we graduated college. We had some serious issues with fighting. We wouldn't just argue, we would verbally tear each other to shreds when we fought. One night we had both been drinking and were fighting because I hadn't worn a bra that night, and a lot of guys had noticed and stared. The fight ended with me screaming at him until he shoved me back and I fell and hit the back of my head on the concrete. It hurt, my head was okay, and I was so mad and scared I started screaming bloody murder and told him to get away from me. He left me on the sidewalk and walked home. What did I do? I called up his friend, not a close friend, a former roommate of his that we both knew. I knew this guy had always had a crush on me. He was sleeping when I called him and I was a drunk disaster, crying and asking him to basically come save me. I was drunk, but I knew exactly what I was doing. He came and got me and took me back to his place. We did about every sexual act you can do and we did it all unprotected. He came inside me. The next morning, I basically snuck out and went home to my fiancé. Stone cold sober now, mind you. The biggest reason I went to therapy after all this was to deal with anger or feeling wronged by getting even. So, I was so pissed at my fiancé, I came home and got on top of my fiancé without showering first. I had unprotected sex with him with the other guys come still inside me. After he finished, I asked him if I felt different that time. He asked why would I, and I told him because I wondered if another guy's come made it feel different. Then I threw the ring at him and practically ran out of the apartment because I was afraid he was going to throw me out of the window. He destroyed all of my belongings and told all of our friends, his friends, and my friends what I had done. He also beat the living shit out of the guy I slept with when he found out it was him. I deserved being a social leper. I deserved all of the hateful messages I got from people. I deserved all the friends I lost. I deserved it all. I remember sitting in a hotel room one night, was still looking for a new place to live, and someone who was once a good friend texted me and told me I would do the world a favor if I just died already. Harsh, but in that moment, I really believed them and felt like they were right. I just sort of wanted to cease to exist in that moment. I ended up losing my shit that month, and that ended with me moving back home with my parents. I didn't specifically tell them what happened, but told them I had really messed up and that I thought I needed help. Got into therapy and worked really hard to become better. Now, more than 4 years later, I have been with my current boyfriend for about 2 years and things have been great. I have learned methods to control my temper and to communicate effectively and in an adult manner. I have also learned that getting even is the most ridiculous way of thinking. Spite gets people absolutely nowhere. If someone does something to wrong me, I now know to either let it go and walk away or talk it out. I know I was a terrible piece of shit before my therapy. The worst kind of person. But I feel like I really have changed. My boyfriend and I were talking a couple of weeks ago, and he asked me what specifically happened with my ex-fiancé that made everyone hate me. I had told him at the beginning of our relationship that I had cheated on my boyfriend and had done it in such a gross way that I had basically no friends left from my college days. At the time, he had told me I didn't need to tell him all the details, that my past was my past. He would never judge me anyway, so he didn't want to know. Well, I didn't lie to him when he finally asked me to specify. I told him every gory detail, just as I've told all of you. He was horrified, which is to be expected. He just kept getting more and more horrified though and kept bringing it up. He said he felt like he couldn't trust me now and that he was afraid of being in a relationship with someone like me. This is like my worst nightmare. I told him that what I did back then didn't change these 2 years we've been together, and that I had 4 years of therapy and still go once every 2 months as a check-in to get myself into a better mental place. He told me he needed some space to think things over more carefully, and I have given him space. We have only seen each other once in 2 weeks and have only been texting/calling very infrequently. I am just really scared this is leading to him breaking up with me. What can I do to make this better? Am I just doomed to forever be unlovable because of what I did? Do I deserve to be alone forever? I am going to make an appointment with my therapist soon since my next check-in is still about a month away. I would like to hear your thoughts in the meantime though. Please help. Edit. Just to clarify, I didn't take pride in telling my boyfriend what happened and I didn't bring it up. My boyfriend pressed for all the details. I got a friend request from a woman who had sent me practically a death threat back when I did that to my fiancé, so I kinda snorted about it and said something like, "Oh yeah," after she told me she hopes my car gets run off a bridge. I'm really going to accept her friend request. And then my boyfriend wanted to know the details because he wanted to know how bad it really was if she had said something that awful. In therapy, my therapist has always told me not to run away from what I did and to always own up to it, so I told him the whole truth. Thank you all so much for all the responses, advice, encouragement, kind words, and even the disgust, which I know I completely deserve. OP wrote more details in the comment section. I told my boyfriend right off the bat that I cheated on my ex-fiancé and that the way I did it was horrific. He said he did not want details because the details didn't matter to him and that there was nothing I could have done that would change how he felt about me. I took that as it was and didn't insist he hear all the details as I believed him when he said that nothing I said could make him judge me. Then when he asked for details a couple of weeks ago, I didn't hesitate to be completely honest about everything. I agree with you that what I did was disgusting. I own up to that totally. That's totally okay that you are judging me. I did something that deserves it. I never made this post about who was worse than who, between my ex or me. There was no excuse for what I did. I have changed so much and act nothing like I did back then. So, you may very well be right that in a way I broke the pedestal he had put me on as great girlfriend when he realized that I haven't always been great by any means. I will continue to give him time and space and try to get myself a therapy session scheduled for this week in the meantime. Thank you. You have been very kind and helpful. Thank you so much for this comment about asking the therapist for tips on how to tell the events. My therapist always told me to own my past, but at my next appointment I will take your advice and ask her for tips on how to deliver it in the gentlest, but still honest way. That way I can maybe figure out a different way to talk to my boyfriend about what I did to hopefully make it easier for him to swallow. Thank you. Relevant comments. There's honesty and there's honesty. There was really no reason to tell anyone all the gory details. In a f up and strange way, she used her sexuality as a weapon to fight back against physical abuse from her fiancé. I'm not saying it was the right thing to do, but I would imagine she felt helpless when he assaulted her and dealt with those feelings of anger and helplessness by hurting him the way he hurt her using the only means she thought she had. I think she dodged a huge bullet with that first guy. If it bothers the second guy that bad, then maybe she's dodging another. This is going to be a different response from everyone else, but to be honest, I find it ridiculous that you cheating on him in a gross way is supposedly worse than him knocking you over and hitting you in the head. I really don't understand how he can come out looking better than you in this situation, and while what you did was not justifiable, it was a hell of a lot more understandable than what your ex-fiancé did. I don't know, intentionally exposing someone to someone else's bodily fluids is very much physical assault. In addition, this wasn't even done in the heat of the moment. It was cold, calculated revenge. There is never an excuse for physical violence, but this is worse.